my name is James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm bringing back the property news. We used to do this every single month, but for some reason, it hasn't happened for the last few months, so I apologise about that, but we're bringing it back. There's lots to cover. There's lots that's happened in the last month, and so I want to go through what actually happened, dissect it, so we can really, in case we miss some of the stuff, really identify what's important to us as property owners, property investors, renters, and such like. So before we jump into this, as always, if you haven't done already, do subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We just hit 25,000 subscribers over the weekend. Thank you to everyone that subscribes. And while you're here, smash like, tickle like, do something to that like button over there. That really helps me with the YouTube algorithm and it gets more views on the channel. So thanks to everyone that does that. So what a month it has been. We've got a general election tomorrow, dependent on when you're watching this. But yeah, that wasn't something that we were expecting. So that's something that was called really, I think it was about 6 weeks ago, wasn't it? But very recently, and that's going to make a big difference. And in fact, some of the news that we cover today has been massively impacted by the general election this year. So what's going on? Well, house prices first. So house prices, all the data last month and the data that we've already had in for this month is up. Halifax, nationwide, ONS, everywhere, house prices are up. So far this month, we've had the nationwide data. It's not a massive increase, but 0.2% up. It's not a bad start to the month. And it looks like that's the sort of, it's kind of a flat market still. The house prices on an annual basis are 1.5% up now, which isn't too bad. So that's good. With inflation taken into account, we are actually down in house prices. That's improved affordability. Wage growth is really something that's been sticking quite high. It's around 6% at the moment. So that is improving affordability for mortgages for a lot of people at the moment. Now, interest rates, they've been all over the place. So in the last 4 weeks, at the beginning of the month, they were up. They were going up on a lot of places. A lot of banks were putting their rates up. Then we got some good inflation data at 2%, and interest rates started to come down, which is really what we want to see, guys. And that was a real positive move. And so in the last week or so, nearly all lenders have dropped rates based on two things. One, Labour potentially coming into power. Two, swap rates dropped. Three, the inflation data was really positive at 2%. The Euro data came out. The European inflation data came out as well in the last few days. And that was actually lower than expectations at 2.5%. They were expecting 2.6. So that was good. And maybe the next UK inflation data will get some more positive news as well. So interest rates have been all over the place, but we ended the month, and where we're at right now is with most lenders cutting rates, which is really where we want to see. Inflation was the big news this month. And so inflation hit that 2% target. Interestingly, the Bank of England all along said, once we hit the target, we'll start cutting rates. We've hit the target, they're not cutting rates. Now, they didn't want to cut rates because of the election. They don't want to be seen to be political to help the Tories out. But I think when you look at the polls, it's going to be such a landslide for Labour. They could have cut rates. It wouldn't have changed the election at all. I think it's a foregone conclusion tomorrow that Labour are going to win in a big, big way. So inflation data is good. Parts of the inflation data are not so good. So service inflation is still really high. It's around 5.9%. That worries the Bank of England, but it is stuff that's out of those companies' control. They were forced to put minimum wage up by 10%. So that's obviously going to hit their costs. And the energy costs are still really high as well. So it is really stuff that those service businesses can't actually control. So that should start coming down over the next few months. A big one was the Leasehold Reform Act. Now, this was unexpected. So when the election was called, Rishi Sunak dissolved Parliament, and you had 3 or 4 days where there's something called the wash-up, right? And that anything that was really important, they tried to make it become law. Leasehold reform was picked as one of those things that the Tories wanted to get done before they left Parliament. And it did get done. Some things that they were hoping to get through, the ground rent cap wasn't able to be agreed on, so that was taken out. But you can now extend your lease once this law becomes active in the next few months. You can extend to 990 years. You can challenge your service charge. You've got all sorts of perfect, wonderful stuff that you can really get behind, which is really positive stuff. So the Leasehold Reform Act is good. Labour have said if they get into power, they're going to abolish freehold and leaseholds and all this kind of stuff. So we'll see. I don't think they'll be able to, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when Labour get into power. The fact is, this wasn't expected to go through. It did. How's the market? The market's slow. And so there are transactions are down at the moment around 15% on 2019. So that is hitting estate agents, that's hitting solicitors, builders. Lots of businesses get impacted by that. And it is still a fairly stable market, as we can see with house prices. We're not seeing a crash at the moment. That could happen, right? That could happen. But at the moment, there isn't lots of buyers compared to sellers. It's fairly equal. It's keeping prices stable as they are. The top of the market is struggling. So bigger properties are not selling as fast or for as much as they have done in previous years, whereas the bottom of the market is doing slightly better. But transaction volume, as I said, is down around 15% on 2019, and that's not likely to pick up anytime soon. What people are waiting for is the election tomorrow. They're waiting for interest rates to drop, and they're waiting for a signal on house prices. Are they going to go down or up? People want a bit more certainty that they're not buying at the peak of the market. So that is interesting as well. This month as well, we had the Europeans and the Canadians, 2 big central banks cutting interest rates. That makes it easier for the Bank of England to cut and the Fed to cut. 2 big places, and also Switzerland cut their rate as well. That was a good positive news, and that's what we want to see. We want to see these big central banks cutting rates. We want the Federal Reserve to take some action, because then we will see interest rates cut here in the UK as well. So that was really interesting. And the last thing I've got, before I jump into the last thing, if you found this useful and you got all this far, do smash like. That really helps me with YouTube. So do that, and comment anything that I should have covered or missed, or any opinion on any of these things that you see here. The last one was renters reform was abolished. This is crazy, because this was a roller coaster ride, the Renters Reform Act. So the Renters Reform got to the stage where it was basically just about to get signed off. It didn't get done in the wash-up, so it's got basically abandoned. This was mostly about Section 21, no-fault evictions. That's what most people were keeping an eye on here. Landlords, tenants, and housing charities as well. That is something that lots of people want to get away from, get rid of those. And the Tories said that they would. Landlords obviously don't want that to happen. That was worrying landlords and making some of them leave as well. So all in all, a busy month. We had Leasehold Reform Act. We've had interest rates cut around the world. We've had mortgage rates cut at the end of this month for people like us. House prices are up, and lots more beside. Anything else that I've missed, do comment below. Do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, and check out all the other content in my channel, including this video right here.